Hello everybody and welcome back to ArcheAge Inspiration. Today's rolls are 2, 8, and 10, so let's see what we've got. 2 would be defense, 8 would be archery, and 10 is vitalism, meaning that we are now a druid. It's a pretty cool name. Alright, well, let's see what we can do with the druid. Okay, so this one took me a little while. I had a few different ideas. The first one was a really hardcore archer with a little bit of defense support, with vitalism to help out with some certain things, like not really as a healer, but you know, things like Twilight and Mirror Light for their utility in PvP. And then I messed around with like a healer that had a little bit of support from archery and defense, and I just couldn't quite get that one right. This particular class combo has some of the, I don't know, really the smallest count of actual combos in between all the trees that I think I've ever really seen. There are very, very few things that are actual combos between the trees. Some of the trees have combos within themselves, but other than the fact that you can snare with Mirror Light and snare, and then that combos with Shield Slam, inflicting a slight amount of extra damage, there's not a whole lot of actual synergy between these trees. This is a very, very tough one. You could possibly play this as a group PvPer with healing and archery, similar to how a ranger would build, except that you would take defense for stuff like invincibility and the block rate and all that. But what I decided to go with instead is a sort of PvE tank build. And I think this can actually work a little bit. We grab only 2 things in Vitalism, Mirror Light, which we'll use on ourselves as a cleanser slash healing boost, which is nice. And then we take Antithesis, which is a reasonably mana efficient heal. You'll want to use Plate, most likely, if you're going to be doing PvE tanking. And then, of course, you're going to want to wear a healing club, so your healing itself will actually be pretty good. So almost 2,000 before the buff that you would get. And then we have a, typical archery suite here: Charge Bolt, Piercing Shot, Endless Arrows. Snare is taken not only as the snare itself, but also as a slight damage reducing trinket, decreasing enemies' physical and magical damage by 20% if they're close enough to you. Not a phenomenal amount, but enough to make something of a difference if you know a large amount of damage is coming in, or if you're otherwise getting pretty low on health. Concussive Arrow for good range pulling for single targets. If we're pulling a large group of monsters or one that's particularly far away, we can use Missile Rain for a good amount of extra damage. None of the archery passives are really going to benefit a tank all that much. Cooldown reduction and critical rate, those would be kind of nice. The range increase itself is optional, but I feel like a 8% increase to the evasion rate that you have will actually be good at helping to mitigate whether it's melee attacks that you're dealing with or ranged attacks that you're dealing with. And then, of course, we have Redoubt combined with Supplemental Block, Shield of Steel to provide good defense against any archer that you are tanking at range. I don't think there are a ton of bosses that are archer themed, although I have heard that the last boss of the Serpentis dungeon has a chance to spawn as an archer, so this could be a potentially good build for them. We have Shield Slam into Bull Rush, typical stuff, Boastful Roar and Mocking Howl as threat generators, and then Refreshment combined with Bear's Vigor for a little bit of extra health, which is always useful. You could certainly play around with this a little bit more. Bear's Vigor may not be completely necessary. You could remove that and get another archery passive if you want to. Pick up some other things in Vitalism potentially as well. Overall, I don't know. I really struggled with this one quite a bit. In fact, really the last few of these have been extremely tough to find things that work or have any synergy, but that's the challenge. That's the whole fun. That's what's fun about what I've been doing with these videos, is trying to find, synergy where none exists. So that's what I pretty much had to say about the Druid. There's not a lot of combos to actually show off, so I didn't really feel the need to go out and actually get any footage of me doing all this sort of stuff. As I said, the only real combo that I saw between the different trees was just the snare into Shield Slam, and that's only a minor damage boost. But otherwise, you have the potential to do some range tanking. There could be potentially a better build, something with archery, defense, and maybe Auramancy for a ranged tank. But this was the lot that I rolled, so I figured I'd give it a shot. That's all I had to say about the Druid, and thanks for watching.